I can't believe we have to still explain these things in 2025, but there's still a lot of misinformation out there. So here we go. First of all, there's no wedding industrial complex. There's no like big, massive machine of millionaire wedding vendors out there. There are some larger companies than others, but most of us are small business owners just trying to make a living and do something we love and do this thing for you that you want us to do. And our pricing is our pricing because that's what it costs to be. We have to pay our bills and live our lives just like anyone else. We also have to bake into our pricing all of the things like insurance, business license, websites, advertising, the list, payroll, the list goes on and on. So we have to bake all that pricing into it. And so you might look at it and go, that's way more than I want to spend, which is totally fine because there's a vendor for every budget. But we're just small business owners just trying to stay afloat, literally. Number two, it's a myth that you say the word wedding and the cost shoots up and that you should lie to your vendors and just call it some kind of other event to get a better price. First of all, don't do that. Most of us have clauses in our contracts that we're going to leave because we don't like getting hosed. Usually why a wedding might be more expensive is literally more hours, more labor, more high expectations. And we could go vendor by vendor and show how this is the case of why a cost might be higher. My pricing is the same regardless, but for a lot of vendors, it's literally because they're doing more work or using more product. That's what you're just paying for what it is. If you want a simpler wedding, ask for less. Tell them, say, this is my budget and these are the expectations. They're just trying to fulfill your expectations. So if you set a lower expectation, if you set a lower budget, they can either try and fit in that, or they can say, I can't do that for you in your budget. And then you move on and find somebody else. And to that last point, you don't have to have the Pinterest wedding. You don't have to have the social media wedding. And you certainly don't have to have the AI wedding. Like I see so much imagery of weddings that is clearly AI. And there's a lot of misinformation there about pricing, and that is totally not on the average newlywed. How are you supposed to know that something you see on Pinterest is not achievable in your budget? How are you supposed to know when there's so much misinformation out there? That's not your fault. But keep in mind that a lot of it is misinformation. And if you want the every single vendor, every single luxurious detail, it costs what it costs. And there's no wrong choice. You can, as a vendor, as a newlywed, I always say your choices are, depending on what your vision is, and everyone's is different, you can spend money or you can spend labor. Usually it's a combination of both, and there's no wrong choice. You just have to find the right priorities for you. There's nothing wrong with having a small, simple wedding. There's nothing wrong with that at all. You just have to figure out what your priorities are and how that matches your budget.